the first time my husband tried to kill me, he smiled while he did it. Even now, 3 years later, I still wake up some nights hearing the sound of the wind whipping across that 8th floor balcony while his hands pressed against my shoulders. I still remember the look in his eyes when he realized nobody would ever suspect him. That was the moment I understood something terrifying. Marcus was not angry. He was not out of control. He was calm, planned, certain, and if I stayed, I was going to die. My name is Claire now, at least to the people in this town. But before I disappeared, before I buried my old life beside a canyon in northern Colorado, my name was Amber Lawson. I had 2 children, a beautiful apartment in Chicago, and a husband everyone admired. From the outside, we looked perfect. Marcus worked in finance, wore tailored suits, volunteered at charity events, and knew exactly how to charm every person he met. People trusted him immediately. Women thought he was thoughtful, men wanted to be like him. My parents used to brag about him to relatives during holidays like they had personally won some kind of lottery. The truth was much uglier. I met Marcus during my junior year of college. I was studying psychology, working part-time at a bookstore, and trying to figure out what kind of future I wanted. Marcus was older by 2 years and finishing his MBA. The first thing I noticed about him was confidence. He walked into every room like he already owned it. He knew how to make people laugh, how to make them feel important, how to make them feel chosen. When he focused his attention on you, it felt like standing under a spotlight. When he asked me out, I felt lucky. For the first few years, he was everything I thought I wanted. He brought flowers to my apartment for no reason. He planned weekend trips. He left little notes in my purse telling me how beautiful I was. If I had a bad day, he showed up with takeout and wine and listened to me vent for hours. Looking back now, I understand something I could not see then. Men like Marcus do not begin with cruelty. They begin with devotion. They study you, learn what makes you feel safe. They build trust first because trust becomes the cage later. We got married 2 years after graduation. Our wedding looked like something from a magazine. Outdoor ceremony, white roses everywhere, string lights hanging from trees. Marcus cried while reading his vows, and half the guests cried with him. My mother said she had never seen a man love someone so completely. The changes started after our daughter Emma was born. At first, it seemed small enough to ignore. Marcus wanted to know where I was constantly. If I went to the grocery store longer than expected, he called 3 or 4 times asking what was taking so long. If I forgot to answer a text message, he became irritated. He started checking our bank statements obsessively. He questioned every purchase, even tiny ones. When I bought coffee with an old friend one afternoon, he asked why I needed to spend money on people who clearly did not care about our family. I explained it away because new parenthood is exhausting. We were both tired. Emma barely slept. Marcus worked long hours. I told myself stress changes people temporarily. Then he convinced me to close my personal checking account after we merged finances. He said married couples should share everything and keeping separate accounts created distrust. At the time, it sounded reasonable, loving, even. I wanted to be a good wife, so I agreed. That decision trapped me more than I realized. By the time our son Tyler was born, Marcus controlled nearly every part of my life. He isolated me so slowly I barely noticed it happening. My best friend Jessica tried to warn me once after visiting our apartment. Marcus had picked up my phone during dinner and casually scrolled through my messages while I washed dishes. After he left the room, Jessica stared at me carefully and asked if he always did that. I laughed awkwardly and said he was just protective. She did not laugh back. "Amber, that is not normal," she told me quietly. "That is controlling." I became defensive immediately. I told her she misunderstood him. Marcus overheard part of the conversation later and spent hours explaining why Jessica was toxic. According to him, she was jealous of our marriage and wanted me unhappy because she was unhappy herself. Eventually, I stopped answering Jessica calls because every conversation with her led to arguments at home. That was how Marcus worked. He never demanded things directly at first. He manipulated until the choice felt like your own. My parents lived in Arizona, and Marcus always found excuses to avoid visiting them. Flights were too expensive. Work was too busy. The kids were too young to travel. When my mother offered to come visit us instead, Marcus insisted our apartment was too cramped for guests. At the time, every excuse sounded believable by itself. Only later did I realize he was systematically removing every person who might have helped me. The physical abuse began quietly too. The first time he hurt me, it happened during an argument about money. I said something he did not like, and he grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave bruises. He apologized afterward for nearly an hour, bought me flowers the next day, told me he hated himself for losing control. Then came the pushing, then the slapping, then the night he hit me so hard my lip split open. It happened after Tyler's first birthday party. I had invited two neighbors and their children over for cake and pizza. Marcus came home late from work, already irritated. The moment he walked inside, I could feel the tension radiating from him. "Why is my house full of strangers?" he snapped. I reminded him about the party, but he insisted I never told him. I knew arguing would make things worse, so I apologized even though I had reminded him multiple times that week. After the guests left and the children were asleep, Marcus cornered me in the kitchen. His face was cold and emotionless. "You embarrassed me tonight," he said. I apologized again, trying desperately to calm him down before things escalated. Then he hit me across the face so hard I slammed into the refrigerator. I remember tasting blood immediately. I remember staring at him in complete shock because some part of me still believed there was a line he would never cross. Instead of apologizing, he looked at me with disgust and said something that still haunts me. "Look what you made me do." That sentence changed something inside me. Not enough to leave yet, unfortunately, but enough to begin understanding the truth. The abuse escalated faster after that. Marcus started creating a story about me for other people. He told friends I was emotionally unstable after having children. He claimed I was depressed, forgetful, overwhelmed. He said these things gently, carefully, always sounding concerned instead of critical. People sympathized with him, they admired his patience. At dinner parties he would sigh dramatically and say things like, "Amber has been struggling lately, but we are getting through it together." He was building a narrative. I did not understand why until later. One afternoon he shoved me down the staircase during an argument. I fractured my wrist and bruised my ribs badly enough to end up in the emergency room. Marcus told the doctors I slipped while carrying laundry. He sat beside my hospital bed holding my hand while nurses praised him for being such a supportive husband. Nobody asked why I had bruises shaped like fingerprints on my arms. Eventually, fear became stronger than denial. I started secretly planning an escape. I opened a hidden bank account at another branch across town and transferred tiny amounts of money whenever I could. $20, $40, small enough Marcus would not notice. I called a domestic violence hotline from a prepaid phone I hid inside an old winter boot in the closet. The woman on the hotline spoke softly and calmly while I cried in my car outside a grocery store parking lot. "You need an exit plan," she told me, "important documents, emergency cash, a safe location." So I prepared one. I packed a small duffel bag with clothes for me and the kids, birth certificates, social security cards, medicine, and a few favorite toys. I hid it under old blankets in the back of the closet. I thought I was being careful. I was wrong. One night Marcus came home drunk and furious. The second he walked through the door, I knew something was terribly wrong. His expression looked different, controlled, dangerous. The kids were already getting ready for bed when he grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the balcony. "I know what you have been planning," he said quietly. My entire body went cold. He told me he found the hidden account, the bag, the hotline number written on paper inside my coat pocket. I denied everything instinctively, but it did not matter. He already knew. The balcony railing dug painfully into my lower back as he shoved me against it. 8 floors below us, headlights moved through the parking lot like tiny floating lights. The wind was freezing against my face. "You are not taking my children away from me?" he whispered. That was when I finally understood. He was not threatening me. He was going to kill me. Everything suddenly made sense. The stories about my mental health, the concerned comments to friends and neighbors, the carefully crafted image of a fragile, unstable wife. He had been preparing for this. If I died, nobody would question it. Marcus pushed harder, and I felt my balance begin slipping backward over the railing. Panic exploded through my body so violently I could barely breathe. Then Emma's voice called from inside the apartment. "Mommy." Marcus turned instinctively toward the sound for 1 second. 1 second saved my life. I shoved him backward with every ounce of strength I had and sprinted inside. I grabbed Emma and Tyler and locked us inside their bedroom while my hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone calling 911. When police arrived, Marcus transformed instantly. He looked worried, calm, heartbroken. He told them I was having a mental breakdown and threatening self-harm. He said he tried to stop me from climbing the balcony railing. He even pretended to cry while explaining how concerned he was about my mental state. And the horrifying part, the officers believed him. I tried telling them the truth, but I sounded panicked and emotional while Marcus sounded composed and rational. One officer gently suggested therapy resources before leaving. They never even filed a report. That night, After the police left, Marcus stood in the hallway outside the children's room staring directly at me. He did not say a single word. He did not need to. The message was clear. Next time, nobody would interrupt him. I barely slept that night. I sat awake on the couch holding Tyler while Emma slept against my shoulder. And somewhere around 4 in the morning I realized something devastating. The system was not going to save me. If I filed for divorce, Marcus would bury me in court. He had money, influence, and an established story portraying me as unstable. If he gained custody, I might never protect my children again. And if I stayed, eventually he would kill me. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I disappeared. An old college friend named Rachel became my lifeline. We had recently reconnected online after years apart, and during one conversation she admitted she once escaped an abusive relationship by faking a hiking accident and starting over elsewhere. When I told her what happened on the balcony, she became very quiet. Then she asked one question: "How far are you willing to go to survive?" Within 2 weeks, Rachel helped me plan an entirely new life. New name, new town, new documents, burner phones. Cash only travel, every detail mattered. But there was one condition: I could not take the children. That nearly destroyed me. Rachel explained the reality clearly. A woman disappearing alone was believable. A mother vanishing with 2 small children would trigger national searches and media attention. Marcus would never stop hunting for us. If I disappeared alone, people would assume suicide. If I took the kids, Marcus would frame it as kidnapping. I spent days sobbing over that decision. In the end, survival won. Before leaving, I recorded videos for Emma and Tyler explaining everything as gently as possible. In Emma's video, I told her how brave and intelligent she was. I told Tyler how much I loved hearing him laugh. I promised both of them that one day I would come back if I survived long enough. Recording those videos felt like ripping my own heart out. A week later, I told Marcus I needed a solo weekend trip to clear my head emotionally. To my surprise, he agreed immediately. I think he believed I was finally breaking. The morning I left, Emma hugged me tightly before school and asked when I would come home. "Soon, sweetheart," I whispered. It was the biggest lie I have ever told. I drove north to Devil Canyon State Park, a place known for steep cliffs and dangerous hiking trails. I left my phone inside the car, my wallet, my jacket. Then I wrote the note. Every word made me physically sick. I wrote about exhaustion, hopelessness, feeling like a burden. I made it vague enough to sound authentic but emotional enough to point investigators toward suicide. At the cliff overlook, I left my wedding ring and a scarf Marcus bought me years earlier. Then I climbed down an unmarked trail behind the canyon while Rachel waited 2 miles away in another parking lot. The moment I reached her car, I collapsed sobbing so hard I nearly vomited. Rachel held my shoulders firmly and said something I never forgot. "You are not dying today. That matters more than anything else." She drove me to a tiny Montana town called Millhaven where nobody knew my face. That was where Amber Lawson officially died, and Claire Bennett was born. The first months were unbearable. I rented a small upstairs room from an elderly widow named Dorothy, who asked almost no questions. I worked at a diner washing dishes and pouring coffee while trying not to think about my children every second of every day. Eventually, curiosity destroyed my self-control, and I searched my name online at the public library. The headline read exactly how Rachel predicted: "Missing mother presumed dead after apparent suicide. Search teams never found a body." Marcus gave interviews looking devastated while holding Emma and Tyler in his arms. He spoke publicly about mental health awareness. People praised him for supporting a struggling wife. He even started a fundraiser in my memory. I remember sitting in front of that library computer shaking with rage so intense my vision blurred. He almost murdered me, and the world treated him like a grieving hero. Time moved strangely after that. Days blurred together. I learned how to survive under a different identity. I stopped looking over my shoulder constantly. Dorothy became something close to family. She made tea whenever she noticed me crying and pretended not to see when I came home from work emotionally wrecked. I wrote letters to Emma and Tyler constantly even though I could not send them. Birthdays, Christmases, first days of school. I described the snow in Montana and the stray cat that lived behind the diner and how much I missed hearing bedtime stories in our apartment. I kept every letter inside a box beneath my bed. Years passed. Then one afternoon everything shattered again. I was leaving the grocery store when I heard someone say my name. Not Claire. Amber. My blood froze instantly. I turned around and saw Marcus standing near the parking lot entrance staring directly at me. For a second I genuinely thought I was hallucinating. He looked older, tired, gray around the temples. But it was him, my husband, the man who tried to kill me. My keys slipped from my fingers and clattered onto the pavement while panic exploded through my chest. "Amber, please," he said softly. just hear me out." Every instinct screamed at me to run. Instead, I stood there trembling. "How did you find me?" I whispered. Marcus explained he spent years privately investigating inconsistencies surrounding my disappearance. No body, unusual financial activity, certain details that never fully made sense. Eventually, he tracked Rachel. Then Rachel led him to Montana. When he mentioned Emma and Tyler, I nearly lost control emotionally. "Emma asks about you every day," he said quietly. "Tyler keeps drawing pictures of you." Hearing their names after 3 years felt like being stabbed. I wanted to hate Marcus completely, part of me still did. But another part of me was drowning in grief for my children. Then Marcus said something I never expected. "I know why you ran." I stared at him in shock. He admitted everything, not publicly, not legally, but privately, standing there beside shopping carts and faded parking lines. Marcus finally admitted he remembered that night on the balcony exactly the way I did. He said he had spent years in therapy after my disappearance. Years unraveling his own violence and narcissism. Years realizing what he became. I did not forgive him. I still have not. But for the first time, I saw genuine shame in his eyes instead of manipulation. Then he told me Emma had recently found one of my hidden letters. Rachel, terrified something might happen to me someday, secretly mailed copies to a storage unit years earlier. Marcus discovered them accidentally while sorting old paperwork. Emma now knew I did not willingly abandon her. That changed everything. Over the following months, I slowly re-entered my children's lives through carefully supervised meetings arranged far away from Chicago. The first time Emma saw me again, she froze in complete disbelief before bursting into tears so violently I thought she might collapse. Tyler barely remembered me at first. That hurt more than anything. But gradually, painfully, we rebuilt something. Not the life we lost. That can never come back. But something new. Marcus and I eventually finalized a quiet divorce without public attention. No media, no dramatic court battle. He never exposed my survival publicly because doing so would expose himself too. Sometimes people ask if I regret disappearing. The answer is complicated. I regret missing years of my children's lives. I regret every birthday and scraped knee and bedtime story I lost forever. But I do not regret surviving. Because if I had stayed on that balcony 3 years ago, Marcus would have killed me eventually, and my children would have grown up believing their mother abandoned them willingly. Instead, I lived. And sometimes survival is the bravest revenge a person can choose.